Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about my new orchid setup, which you can see right here in front of you. I have decided that shelves are not for me anymore. They make things a little bit more difficult. Well, first of all I have to hang up all the shelves, not all the walls are easy to drill into, but also just the arrangement of orchids never quite look right on shelves in my opinion. Some orchids are too tall for the shelves and then the flower spikes don't fit, or even the taller leaves don't fit, like the one over there. And sometimes it's, the size of orchids change depending on how well they grow and how often they're blooming, and shelves are always kind of in the way in that respect. So I figured I would do something that I've seen in a few places, which is an orchid wall. So what that means is essentially that I have a sort of iron grating on the wall, which is this here. And I've attached it just by a few screws that are in the wall together with a plug, and it's just hanging from that basically. And all the pots I have, I've attached hooks to, and they literally just hang from this iron grating here. So that's my newest setup, and hopefully this will work out well enough. The one big thing is that first of all it makes it easier for all the orchids to get a good amount of light as well, because the sun, at least in the summer, now in the winter doesn't happen very much. Well, over here to the left, this is a southwest facing window. So during the afternoon, this wall should get a lot of sunlight. And because there's no shelves or anything to cast shadows, every single plant should get plenty of light in the summer. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that work and seeing how all the plants will grow in that kind of condition. And I thought this video would be nice to show you how I've made this wall, and more specifically also how I put the pots together to hang on the wall, because one of the challenges I face is that I didn't want to stop doing self-watering leca, because the self-watering system is just very good for me as a grower, since I'm away relatively often and I don't always have time to stay on top of watering. So self-watering is important to me, to be able to change the reservoir size and make sure my plants have a good amount of water while I'm gone. And the challenge with having a self-watering leca on a wall like this is that the pot needs to be in an outer pot with a reservoir. So basically I need to have two pots, and one needs to fit inside the other quite perfectly, and then we need to hang it on the wall. And because I need to be able to hang the pot, I either had to buy pots that are already ready to hang, but those tend to be quite expensive, and if you have a number of orchids, that adds up to a lot of money. So I didn't want to spend that kind of money. So instead I did something else. I'll just take one of the plant pots here to show you what I've done. So this is a good place to stand. Yes, okay, you can see the plant. So here you have the Venosa in this case, in its outer pot, and first it's in its inner pot, which is just a clear plastic pot, and I like using clear plastic pots because it means I can see the roots grow. And as you can see, we have some wicks coming out the bottom, and it's completely filled with leca, nothing else, and the wicks, leca and the wicks. And I kind of made the wicks go up to the top of the pot here, to make sure that I can try and combat the top dry top layer, especially in these big pots, which, well, the taller your pot is, the more wicking power you need to be able to get the water to the top, and the bigger your dry top layer is going to be. So in this way I can try and combat that dry top layer. And then the outer pot, I was really cheap and I didn't want to spend a lot of money on this, so what I did was a relative amount of work, but it wasn't that bad honestly, is I just took some Elho plant pots. Wait, I'll get one that's empty to show you. Okay, so basically what I did is I got one of these Elho plant pots, and they're really cheap. They're just, I think this is the 17-inch one, and all the inside pots are 15-inch. They all go in the same size pot, so some of them are really over-potted, like the Lindeni, which I'll show you later. But the point is that having standardized sizes, I can put everything in. This makes it so much easier for me to find the right pots and then put them up there. Because otherwise it's a real headache to find pots that fit into other pots that can also be hung on the wall. But anyway, here we've got the Elho pot that I get for cheap. And it's not actually a suitable outer pot on its own, because it has drainage holes at the bottom, as you can see. originally anyway, but what I've done is I've taken some plastic that I got from any sort of generic packaging that you buy stuff in. I've cut out little squares and I've glued them to the bottom here with my glue gun. And then also put some more glue at the bottom holes over here. And that was enough to make it waterproof. I've tested it quite a lot and so far there's no leaks. So the system seems to work, which I'm quite happy with. And because it's a light plastic, it doesn't give too much weight for the wall to bear. And on top of that, it's very easy to also create a hole over here for me to put a hook through so it can hang on the wall quite easily. And next I'll show you then how I make these holes, because what I use actually is a soldering iron. So we just take one of the pots, we take a soldering iron which is now plugged in and hot, and make sure you don't breathe in the fumes because it isn't good for you. There we go. There's a hole. Show it again, taking a bit more care to actually have it on camera. Ta-da! Oh. A little more of a close-up. Ta-da! Excellent. And after having used a soldering iron to create a hole, we need to install a hook. So I've just bought these by the kilogram. They are quite cheap when you get them in large amounts. I think I got them for about 12 euros for a kilogram. So that's really not too bad. And you just hook them through like this. There you go. And you have the S hook here, which will latch onto the actual metal grating. And then to make sure that whenever I take them off the grating, they don't fall off or anything like that, I take some, I don't know what these things are called. I think they're plumbing irons or something. They're, yeah, just some tools that I've lying around. And this is the finicky part. You need to grab hold of this S hook. Like so. So I've got it like this, and then I just squeeze the tool and the S hook closes. So now I can be certain that while I'm using it, or hooking it and unhooking it, it can't detach from the pot and take me by surprise and cause me to spill water everywhere, which would not be a good thing. So it's now basically one hole, which is good. So with this, the outer mask is complete. We've got our drainage holes clogged up so that the pot is watertight, and we've got our hook here to make sure that we can hang it on the wall. And then after, you place it on the wall and you get a nice looking collection like this. I've got them spaced out like this now, and I see that one of them is turning. There we go. Okay. I've been messing around with the wall too much, so now they're a bit unstable. But I can basically put them up there in any configuration I like. It's super flexible. I can move them around any point to any point. And this is not the most efficient setup. I could easily fit, I think, about 8 more plants on there. At least 5, probably more. So I can just shuffle them about as I like. I can also move them around as is good for their light requirements, because the ones on the left will get more light than the ones on the right. And also according to heat, because next to the radiator there, it'll be warmer than on this end over here. So all in all, I've got a pretty flexible setup this way, where I can move my orchids around as I like. It will also make for very nice displays, I'm hoping, because an idea would be that once the flower spikes start blooming, they'll be kind of pendant, and they'll kind of just flow down over the length of the orchid wall, and it'll just look really nice, especially because this is right where we have our couch. So this is usually where we sit, and then we'll have these beautiful flowers right above us. We'll be able to smell them nicely, and of course whenever I walk into the room, I just get to instantly walk in and see all my orchids, which I'm very happy about. All in all, this seems like a pretty good solution to me, and at some point I'll have enough things ready to put all my orchids on the wall, hopefully. And I'll put another grate next to it because I still have quite some wall here, you see. And then the idea is that I won't need those bookshelves anymore. And that those can just leave, go away, be sold. So now all I want to do, and if any of you have any suggestions, that'd be great. I want to find a way to get a artificial lighting setup that works well with this orchid wall. And there are some requirements. It needs to be white light. I don't want to have any of those purple growing lights in my living room, and this is the living room, of course. So it needs to be natural looking light. It needs to not make noise because there's no way I'll sit underneath a light that's going to make noise all day. And it needs to actually look okay because some of the growing lights I've seen might be really good and might tick the boxes I've just mentioned, but it looks awful. And again, this is my living room. I don't have dedicated growing space. So if any of you have any particular recommendations or just simple light bulb types that you know work well, then I could look into using those as artificial lighting setups. Maybe have some spotlights coming from up there and up there. Just have like these spotlights coming and shining down at kind of an angle, so it kind of like hits it at, at an angle. And then if I've decided on my lighting setup and installed it, my plants can finally have their permanent home in my new apartment. And here we have the little lindeni in its oversized pot. It still has one flower on it. The rest is fallen though, but this one flower is holding on strong. And this is it's in a 15-inch pot now, just like everything else. I do still really like those little freckles on the leaves. We'll see how much bigger it gets. I think the lindeni stays quite small, but at least it has plenty of room for its roots to grow. So that was the introduction of my new grow setup. If you guys liked it, go ahead and give this video a like. If you disliked it, go ahead and give it a dislike. If you have any suggestions about lighting that I could use or some adjustments to the setups that will make it easier for light to reach or for watering or whatever ideas you might have, go ahead and leave a comment. And if you would like to see further updates and more videos like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!